On December 12, 2022, Argentina took on France in the World Cup final in what will probably go down as one of the greatest sporting events of all time. The world came together to watch two of the sport's biggest names going at it on the grandest stage of them all. Argentina took an early lead of 2-0, but as hope started to fade for France, two quick goals by Mbappe changed the trajectory of the game. What followed was, in my opinion, the greatest 40 minutes in sporting history. Argentina went on to win the game in penalties, and the greatest player of all time could finally call himself a world champion. Mbappe, on the other hand, despite the loss, will be remembered for his all-timer performance in the final. Now, I could talk about this game forever, but that's not what this video is about. In 2022, tickets to the World Cup final ranged between $200 to $1,600, and keep in mind there was no dynamic pricing for the 2022 World Cup. These were the original prices. Now I want you to guess how much tickets for the 2026 finals are going to be. Yeah, keep in mind, this is with dynamic pricing, so it goes up and down with demand. But the fact they even think about trying to make football fans pay this much is a disgrace to the legacy of the sport. From the time teams were formed around factory workers to players becoming international superstars, one thing always remained the same. Football was for everybody. Games have historically been attended by the lower class, and if you want to go deeper, even the equipment necessary to play the sport reminds you of how accessible it is. All you really need is a ball. And to show you the example of someone who gets the importance of accessibility for the people that watch the sport, I want to show you a video of Maradona speaking in the locker room before a charity game.
Demostremos respeto a la gente.
Muy bien.
Solo eso.
Du respect à la gente.
A jugar.
Now, what at first seems like a funny video of an old fat Maradona yelling, if you really listen to his first words, that is what in my opinion separates him from most legends of the sport. When asked to make a speech, his first words are about the people. His understanding and genuine care for the people that not only play, but watch the sport cannot be understated. For Maradona, the people are not only investors spending money to watch a game, but they are the ones you do it for. They are the essence of the sport, and if you don't appreciate the people, you can't appreciate the sport. Maradona really took pride in being the voice of the oppressed, and he did it in many parts of his life. And I think besides his legendary campaign in the 1986 World Cup, his legacy of supporting and understanding the sport and its people is what will stand the test of time. A true sporting activist till the very end. Now, if you are American, you know these prices aren't that ridiculous for American sports. Super Bowl final tickets are insanely expensive, and courtside tickets to an NBA game are famously very dominated by the celebrity class. Americans are so used to these prices that I've seen them start to defend FIFA on these tickets. What we see here is a cultural divide. Americans see sport as a luxury. If someone is willing to pay the price, then it can't be that bad. As to where Europeans see attending a sporting event as a right, similar to groceries or rent. FIFA trying to price them out of games is seen as a direct attack on their way of life. Now the question is, who is at fault for all these changes? Infantino is the president of FIFA, and over the past few years it is clear he is desperate to Americanize the sport. Halftime shows, rising ticket prices, and halftime during halftime are all ideas that he wants to introduce to the sport. Now the question is, why does he want to introduce all these changes? And unsurprisingly, like everything else in life, it has to do with money. NFL or American football is actually far more profitable than football. The high prices for tickets, the ad breaks, and the overall easiness for brands to get involved make the sport a money glitch, making it one of the most successful businesses in the world. Now you understand why Infantino is so desperate to appeal to the American way of sports. The legacy he wants to leave behind is one of profit and innovation, but his innovation is a club tournament nobody asked for, and his search for profit is so absurd that people are questioning on whether they should boycott the biggest sporting event in human history. But Infantino doesn't limit his money-grabbing ways to affecting ticket prices. He directly rigs and obstructs the rules of the sport for financial gain. For example, for the 2025 Club World Cup, despite failing to qualify, Inter Miami was invited to play in the tournament. Messi is my favorite player of all time, but it's not hard to see what motivated Infantino to completely ignore the qualification process to his own tournament. And the most obvious and recent example of Infantino just ignoring the rules of the sport was despite Cristiano Ronaldo's red card against Ireland, meaning he should be suspended for the first game of the World Cup. For no good reason at all, his suspension was lifted and now he will be able to play. Sepp Blatter, the former president of FIFA, has a reputation for his corruptness and money hungerness just like Infantino. But I don't remember him ever abusing his power to directly affect the sport as much as Infantino has. Then you add up him defending oil dictators in Qatar with bizarre speeches and awarding a made-up honor to the soon-to-be host nation's president. It becomes hard to defend what clearly seems like a man so desperate to be liked that he ignores how bad he makes the sport look. Now the World Cup will be a success despite FIFA's best efforts to destroy the legacy of the game. People will forget this happened. Things will go as planned and the tournament will be a financial and cultural success like it always is. But this is not the end. FIFA and the powers that be will continue their push to make football a sport for the few while excluding the many. A sport so tied to wealth, future generations, because of their financial backgrounds, won't even be given the chance to watch their idols play in person. But it doesn't have to be like this. At the end of the day, it's up to us football fans to stand up for the sport we love. Because if we don't, who will?